The only protection these animals have outside of the parks are the hunting companies. So when I first came to this camp in 2002, we had a manager here called Sadi. He was born in Garoua. He was half Lebanese, half French. His parents had a trading store in Garoua. And he told me as a kid, his dad would walk from their house in Garoua and go and shoot roan and buffalo for meat and carry it back to the house. That's how much game there was. Now, you would have to drive at least 7 hours from Garoua before you would even see a rabbit. There's absolutely nothing, it's desert. So there's various methods of poaching here. The most common are the cable snares, which are made from motorbike clutch or brake cables. They dig a hole and attach that a noose and cable to a log, so that when the animal steps down into it, it tightens around the leg and then drags a heavy log. The poacher will then come and follow that drag and then spear or machete that animal to death. Another method which is extremely damaging is the use of homemade shotguns, mainly hunting at night. A lot of animals are wounded and a lot of animals are killed. And then we also have fish poaching as well, where they'll net and also use various plants to poison the water. We've even found where they've poisoned water holes with cotton poisoning, and that also will kill anything that drinks there, birds, animals or whatever. Those are the three main methods that are used here. The difference in North Cameroon here, we're not protecting animals that are common anywhere else in the world. These are not Cape buffalo that are farmed in South Africa in pens and so on. The giant eland now, it only occurs in a couple of countries. Cameroon is the only one where they're huntable because the others are in conflict zones. A poacher comes in and shoots a giant eland, cuts up the meat, racks it. With what he'll get from that eland, probably less than $200 worth of sales from that meat. You have a paying client come in on a safari, you're looking at $40,000, $50,000 for that animal. And it's not just the shooting of the animal, the jobs that are created. I mean, we're probably the biggest employers in this region. Our company employs over 100 people to work in the camps, anti-poaching, etc. What we've noticed here over the last few years, there were quite a few, what we would say, small-time operators in Cameroon that had one concession. And with the poaching and the cattle problems, these concession owners could no longer afford to do the anti-poaching that was required to make those concessions viable. So there's a number of hunting blocks here now that are totally abandoned, solely because financially they cannot afford to do the anti-poaching. And it got to a point where they could actually not conduct safaris there successfully, so they've pulled out. So we're now getting situations where our neighbors there's no protection there. We basically border onto a concession that has no control at all, and now we're having more and more poaching problems because of that. The hunting companies in Cameroon here are the last line of defense for these animals. You could go right now, go into a hunting area, see what game they have, go into a hunting area where the operator has pulled out because of lack of funds to do the correct anti-poaching. Those areas are completely annihilated. There's nothing there. You will not see an animal full of poachers, cattle, domestic livestock. It's finished. The only protection these animals have outside of the parks are the hunting companies that are trying their best to do the anti-poaching, but it's got to a point now where they just can't afford to do what is required. We're not at a point yet where it's not salvageable. We can still, make a plan and get the numbers of these animals back up. The use of a microlight or a savannah aircraft would be a great help. Very easy to spot cattle from the air. There's vast areas here without roads. It would take days, if not weeks sometimes, to locate camps. With a small aircraft like that, in an hour, you would have covered the whole concession. Then you could radio back to your ground guys and they can go in on foot with a GPS coordinate, and that would be a huge help. Because of the strict rules in Cameroon, when there's any equipment that is military-like or involves an aircraft or helicopter, the government is very sticky. So the best way to approach that is to work in conjunction with our neighbors who are the national park. They would be able to import those kind of goods, and then we could have an arrangement with them that maybe the aircraft actually would be based in the park where we as a company have opened an airstrip there, and the plane could fly from there The same goes for anything like a drone. As long as that drone came in under the wing of the wildlife department, we would be able to use it, but we wouldn't be the ones in the forefront bringing that equipment in. One of the solutions may be for an organization like Africa Parks that have done incredible work in various African countries, would be to come in here and take over a number of these hunting blocks that are in the vicinity of the national parks, run those areas, do all the anti-poaching, be in charge of the security, but allow the hunting operators to continue in those areas so that they continue to pay the concession fees to the government, they continue employing the people from the local communities. That could be the answer so that everyone is happy. If we don't change things drastically, we will end up losing all of these areas. The pressure is too much.